You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 45 minutes after the hour. And we are back. And Alex, you had a story, well, an experience that you were going to share with us. And I had to so rudely interrupt you, but what great timing.
Oh, it's fine, really. I wouldn't want anyone to miss any of the story or, have to go into break in the middle of it.
Right.
So basically, Talladega National Forest, see, it's a pretty big forest, 400,000 acres, lots of awesome exploring to do in that place. There's some old cemeteries out there, even old spots where houses used to be, all kinds of different stuff going on. But, I like to go out sometimes just to relax. And at this point in time, this was about 3 years ago, I had gone out just to relax. Like, I literally had been doing a lot of filming for YouTube, like in the paranormal sense. I was like, I'm going out to the woods for 2 nights and just relax. So we get out to the woods. We had set up our tent and everything. We had our dog with us, which with my dog, he's had all kinds of experiences with me. Like, when things happen, he's like, I need to start bringing him more because things happen when he's around. So we were out there, and it was weird. This will play into the story later, but I'm going to go ahead and tell now what happened. I had been joking about that there was a witch that was out there, and I was like playing a joke on my friend who was with me, and I'm like, there's a witch that lived out here and everything, and I kind of like went off and like hid behind a tree, like, and I acted like I was going to get wood, and then we were just playing jokes like that, and then I would like wait for them to be looking for me, and then I would jump out or things like that. So
it's so lucky you came home.
Yeah. Exactly. They could have out in the woods, who knows what they could have done. But so we get in the tent, we're just relaxing with the dog, and then the dog starts barking, and we look up and see these 2 little blue strobing lights, and they start flying toward our tent, and one of them flies and lands right beside the tent, and it like dims its light down, and I couldn't see it for a second, and then I noticed where it was, and I whispered. I was like, there it is, because we were like, what are these things? So I whispered, there it is, and it like darts up and jumps off and flies, and they both flew away very quickly, and the way they flew, like, you could tell they were very precise with how they fly.
Wow.
So we're like blown away. We're like, what was that? Like, that was so weird. Well, anyway, after talking about it for a minute, we go back, lay down, start trying to go back to sleep, and the dog starts barking again, and we look up, and there was literally six or seven of these things hovering outside the tent. These blue strobing.
Oh my gosh, they went and got friends?
Yeah, and they like brought them back. And I remember feeling like almost this sense of like, I felt like this total calmness and like euphoric sense. It was really weird. Like, it literally almost felt like I was in a dream or something, but like I was literally sitting right there staring at these things. My dog's barking at them. My friend saw them too. We immediately packed up the next day and ran straight to the internet trying to figure out what kind of insects in Alabama have like a blue light like that. We couldn't find anything. We found something about these beetles that are bioluminescent, but it wasn't the same light we saw. It wasn't the same at all. Like, because I saw its wings too. It had wings, and they were like a translucent. It looked like butterfly mixed with dragonfly wings. So I have, we went up to Books, Beans, and Candles, which is like the local metaphysical shop, and we were asking Mitchell there, who runs the shop, like what he thought about it. And so, he brought up the Fae, and that maybe it was the Fae, and that they could come in all different kinds of.
That's what I was going to suggest. That I have friends who go to Ruffner Mountain for fairies.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never experienced that, but a lot of people haven't experienced a full body apparition either. Right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly, and so here's where it gets even more interesting. Uh, I hadn't even met Jonathan Odom at this point, but after I met Jonathan, we would be out. He would come out. I'd be out at Talladega. He'd come out, and we'd just talk sometimes, and just talk about different things we'd experienced in the forest. And one night he's telling me that these two ladies actually saw something similar. It was a red light though, but something very similar. They called it fairies. And then he tells me that supposedly there's a lady who lived up there in the same area we were camping near. It's near High Falls is what it's called. That they called like the fairy whisperer, and she was like some type of like green witch that lived out there. So I thought it was kind of weird that I had been joking about the witch, and that they were supposedly it was just like all this stuff, just synchronicities and things coming together. So then I started digging into the Fae of the southern United States, and seeing what I could find. And actually, I found some other people who had seen similar things, like the blue lights, which similar to a will-o-wisp. That has been described in history as part of the Fae realm.
yes.
And coming across these different sightings and people having strange encounters with little, like almost like little goblin or elf-like creatures and little, what they call the little people. Finding out about the Native Americans having stories about them. And then starting to put the connections, and I've seen other people talk about it as well, just with those and the Bigfoot. They have to know about each other. If they're both wood, they live in the woods. Some people even think that they're protectors of the woods and things like that.
Yes.
So it's just some really cool stuff to think about.
Well, it
especially,
is.
yeah, when you've seen it too. I mean, like I've seen it with my own eyes, so it's hard for me to not believe in it.
I agree, because I had an experience with Kim and some other people from our team, but Kim was the primary person who didn't know about elementals or about other things of that nature. And I still struggle with the Fae. I'm sorry. I try so hard. I'm afraid that I am going to need to experience that, because I want to. If they're there, I want to experience them. And I think that might be the primary reason I haven't yet.
Yeah.
But, when you talk about protectors, there's all kinds of protectors of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
So I know at break we were talking about elementals too.
Yeah, I mean, it made me wonder, like, if, what I saw was some type of elemental creature, or, what exactly it was. I still, to this day, am trying to figure it out, because, like, I can't say 100% like that was a fairy, because I don't know, I didn't have a body. I don't have any footage or anything of this happening, other than, at this point, the memories. Now, something else strange that happened out there was this. I went out alone at night, and I hiked out back behind the Pine Glen camp, and I had set my tent up in this little circle, and I woke up the next morning, and when I got out of my tent, I actually saw something up on the ridge that, to me, I can't say 100%, but it appeared to be a Bigfoot type creature. It had a strange fur color that was not a black bear. It was like a lighter like a lighter color than that. And whatever it was relatively tall. I would say at least 6 or 7 feet. And when it noticed that I was looking at it, it just quickly like ducked into the trees and was gone. And so, you have sightings of Bigfoot out there. You have sightings of the little people in the Fae. I've even heard stories about like large winged things being out there, which is something that has started to pop up in some of my investigations in different parts of Alabama. Some in Talladega area, some in the southern near Prattville, some up near Bankhead. So
are these like Mothman type winged creatures?
Some of them were described like that. Others were described as almost being like a wolf or bear with wings, or even like what they would call like, yeah, exactly. Like I've seen people even describe it like that, as a griffin. One lady had a name for it. I can't remember exactly what the name was. I tried to look into it and I couldn't find anything on it. But like I said, these are some things that you can't just go find online. You have to kind of dig into the community and talk to locals and actually hear these stories from the locals, which is just insane. Because John Keel and he had talked about these certain areas that are like where the Mothman was in Point Pleasant. Like it's like some type of gateway or some type of just place where a lot of these things can come through. Almost where like dimensions, cross over each other or something like that. And there's like
it's like portals of some type or landing areas or something.
Exactly. And I'm like wondering, what creates that area, or, because you'll have, even in Alabama, we have certain areas. I noticed around Tuscaloosa, near where the big mounds are, I noticed online I could find a lot of sightings of Bigfoot around Tuscaloosa County. And there's a little, if you go to the MUFON UFO map, I believe there was similar, UFO sightings around that area. Of course, in the cities you have a lot. So I don't know. It's just amazing to to think about and to start, once you start digging and start finding all these different connections. And but when I started hearing about the winged things, it took me back to a time where me and some friends went to Talladega, and we actually thought one of my friends saw it. I heard it. It sounded like a pterodactyl or something, like some type of like, it was probably just an owl, but something large flew over us. And we were kind of doing like an afternoon leading into night hike up. There's like up that same High Creek trail. And, what we heard, we were like, was that a pterodactyl or something? And, my friend said he saw it and it was really big, but once again, I can't, it was dark. It could have been an owl. But yeah, the winged beings and creatures, it's pretty fascinating.
Well, they're freaky.
Yeah, exactly. And the one that the person saw in Prattville, they didn't even want to talk about it. They told my aunt about it, and she told me about it. I asked them if they wanted to be interviewed. They said they didn't want to talk about it. It made them feel crazy to even think about it. And some bad things happened after they saw it with their family and everything. And it was very similar to Mothman in the description. The wingspan, the red eyes, the humanoid body shape. It's definitely spooky to think that, what if you saw something like that? It definitely shakes people to their core when they see that, because you're not supposed to see that.
Well, you've got all up in the Ohio, West Virginia area. You have the Mothman, you have the Flatwoods Monster, there's like 4 of them right there together.
Yeah, the Grafton.
It's just bizarre. Oh my gosh, we're almost to the top of the hour. I'm glad I looked up. I'm having so much fun with this conversation. It's just really, flying by. But we are about to break for our top of the hour news break. And you know what? For those of you freezing to death, I hope you've got a great bit of news coming